I think also, I mean, you're in a relationship with a black man. You have mixed children. You have black children. How do you think that you've embraced that fully? Like, you know, obviously no one can deny that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. How do you think other people, you know, like us, I'm not in a relationship with a black person. Like, how can I do other things like that? Like little things that I can do to be like anti-racist. Like, what can I do? Yeah,
you do have to educate yourself because you do have to know where it comes from, right? So if I'm in a relationship with you and you've never told me that you've been cheated on, I'm going to feel like you're actually controlling to me, right? I have to know your past in order for this to work. So there is a point you've got to educate yourself on Black history. You've got to educate yourself on the history of slavery, the actual history of slavery. You have got to educate yourself on what happened in Tulsa in the 40s. You have got to educate yourself on Jim Crow laws.
What happened in Tulsa in the 40s?
The government, it was considered Black Wall Street. It was where a bunch of black people went. They were getting
It was like the most thriving black community in the nation, right?
Tulsa,
like one of,
Tulsa,
for sure.
Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they burned it to the ground.
All of it.
All of it.
And it's never come back.
And it's never been able to come back. And it was the first time like black people were going to be established wealth in America. This is not going to be in your history books. And our government did that to our own citizens and have never apologized for it. So
but again, like I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's hard.
But you have
even
to
if I was an elected official.
From. I've never cheated on you.
Yeah. I mean, but even as an elected official, what am I going to do? Like go out and say like,
we're in a relationship now, by the way. Right? Okay, I just want to let you know.
I think it's good to have this back and forth.
Oh, this is fun.
But if I was,
if I was
a politician, if I was an elected official, what am I? Like, you know, that's a weird thing. Not even just awkward, but just like weird for me to come out and be like, "Hey, everyone, sorry we did this 40 years ago or whatever." Like how do we actually appropriately apologize? Yeah. Who needs to appropriately apologize?
Have a question with
because like the government, like you said, we need to make reparations. We need to apologize. The government has never formally apologized, but the government is not a person. The government is an entity. It's a group of people.
It's a lot of people put together.
So how do we appropriately apologize?
Yeah, I think let's say I don't know a lot of. I went to school near Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I was about to say I don't know anyone in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I know a lot of people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I went to college near there. I don't know what to say to certain politicians, but I would say, do you have a Confederate statue? Do you have a stone mountain?
Yeah.
Do you have a Confederate flag?
Anything that's memorializing that racism in our country?
You go to Germany, you don't see that with Nazi stuff.
Burn it down. Tear it down. Get rid of it. Replace it with a monument to people there. If you have the ability to give funds, estimate what that would be in your community and try giving it back to bring some of this, you know, in our world. We cannot, it's a long time fix. Even if we passed certain things now, it's going to be my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren that begin to see the repercussions of that. Totally. That's if we do this now. But you're correct that you never see that in Germany. Like a memorial, like where are the statues to Adolf Hitler in Germany? You've got to be kidding me. But I can drive anywhere and be like, oh, look, there's, I don't even know. No, mustard isn't clue. But like, there's somebody.
I've been to Germany, and it's actually really interesting how in your face they are reminding us of what happened. Like if you go down, I was walking in Berlin with my friend, and obviously everything's in German.
You said
I don't know.
Very casually.
I was walking with my friend.
I mean,
in Berlin,
he's a very world-traveled individual.
I was walking in Berlin with my friend who lives there, and I was asking her. I kept seeing all these flags with different things written on them, and I kept seeing things on the sidewalk. And I was like, "What is that? What does that say? What is that memorializing?" And they said, "Oh, that's right there. That was like this house was the house of a Jewish doctor that got killed in the Holocaust." And then I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And they were like, "Oh, that's saying that on this day in this year, this happened or whatever." Like everywhere, it is a constant reminder of what happened there. Yeah. Everywhere you look.
You don't get to fly the swastika flag.
Oh, it's illegal.
And that's another thing.
It's illegal.
Let's make
100%
it illegal
illegal
to sell Confederate flags. Let's make it illegal to fly them. We have got to stop. Like those are the kind of things. Like
I don't know if that'll never fly in America because never fly in America. LOL. We can fly
free
that flag.
market capitalism.
But it'll never
Freedom
fly
of
in America
speech.
because we are so in the freedom of speech, whatever. Obviously, you're still a crappy person if you think that that's cool. I mean, I get the whole like children proud, whatever, but like screw that. No. It's fine to be proud of like where you're from, but I don't
Just rock
personally
an
believe in that.
American flag.
I don't personally
just rock one of those.
I don't
You're a flag
personally
person,
think it's
get the stars and stripes.
yeah, I don't think it's very cool to have that like patriotism of where you're from because you didn't choose that per se. It's fine to be proud of like what your city has accomplished and all these things, but like it's always so like weirdly tribal, I think.
But to fly the Confederate flag,
Which was literally the flag of the army that was fighting for slavery to still be a thing.
It wasn't even that. It became that afterwards. It's like, hey, just to remember, we were against this.
Yeah.
Just to remember, we think you guys all should still be our slaves. And a lot of the monuments that have been erected were done so in order to perpetrate fear in black citizens of
like,
those
hey, just
cities.
a reminder, you're still living here. Even though we lost the war, we still think like this.
Yeah. And we give money to go to these places. And
I remember one time
No, I agree.
Jalila and I were on a date to Stone Mountain, and we took like some video on our Instagram stories of like a laser light show, and you were like blowing up my phone. I'm like, she right though. I just paid money to come see some like Confederate generals carved out of rock on a wall somewhere.
The thing
like,
is, though, is do we just because we don't want, like, for example, I had a debate with one of my friends earlier on Facebook today where this guy posted this whole post about like, well, actually, we don't care about black lives don't matter when it's black on black crime, blah, blah, blah. We can talk about that. And I went into a debate and the first thing I said was, hey, bro, it's not too late to delete this. But the thing was, is we had a back and forth
Never
and we
too
had a
late.
dialogue and he said, actually, it was kind of interesting. He said, I'm not going to delete this because I think it's important for people to see what I said and to see our back and forth. And I agree with him. And that's why I don't unfriend people who post messed up stuff on my feed, because if I always just unfriend everyone that I disagree with, I'm just going to turn my Facebook into an echo chamber. I don't think that's right.
No,
So with the monuments and with Stone Mountain and with all of these types of things, are we supposed to just destroy history, quote unquote, like, or do we need it as a somewhat of a reminder? Like, how do we draw that line and distinction?
I think most Southern statues are not trying to help us remember our failures.
Maybe
how
they go
you
in a
described in
museum
German.
versus like in the town square.
Yeah, let them go to a place where we go to grieve what we have done.
Yeah.
And they are memorials that are kind of like celebrated, or actually now they're almost white noise. It's like we don't even see them as what they are.
it's just a guy on a horse doing like this. And
Well,
you're like, that's just a chunk of rock on the road. I don't even know what that is.
And
Exactly.
I think like people, I mean, I know at Stone Mountain they'll do like Civil War reenactments and stuff like that, but like the North wins, like they are not afraid to say like the South lost. I think they are trying to just like, show what happened, but at the same time, like, how can we draw that line of like preserving history? Because at the same time, I think there's a lot of slave history that was destroyed because we didn't want to acknowledge that kind of stuff. I mean, how do we trace back reparations of like slaves when slaves were like stripped of everything and they were given new names and all this kind of stuff?
Might
Like,
as well
how
just
do
be
we
livestock at
how
that
do we
point.
trace it all back? Like, it's so
Yeah.
hard. So how do we draw like line of like what's history and I don't know.
I mean, it's similar to Germany. Like, what is considered celebrated history from their worst mistakes, and what is considered memorialized history that we're memorializing, so that we never do that again. There's a big difference in those two types of museums and those two types of monuments, and it's.
Do we need to blow up Stone Mountain then? I'm hearing it straight here.
I am not a violent person.
What do we do to Stone Mountain? Do we
I'm not a violent
recarve
person.
it? Do we recarve
I
it
tell you
and
what, though.
celebrate black heroes? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be
That'd be
cool.
kinda cool.
Put some like black scientists and engineers and doctors. And
Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode, you can click right here. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can click right here. If you want to watch more clips, we got 2 more right over here.